Hi guys, welcome to another Escapement Show. Good to see you all in the chat. Got John Beaver, my good friend. We've
Hey
got
fellas, what's going on?
Jay, and as always, our good friend
Hi,
Abdul R
everybody.
Watches in the corner there.
Good to see everyone.
So, a few of you in the chat there. We've got one UCIT. Is that how I pronounce it? You have to correct me if I've got it wrong. Sorry about that, friend. This. Have a good show. Thank you, my friend. Always good to see you. And Chili Burger. I learned this week from Pete McConville that a G-Shock is the most widely used military watch, and hey, I love G-Shocks even more now. Yeah, so we're talking about a few military watches. I've been to military watches and since seeing the Arian Marine on the GPHG competing watches that we looked at in the last show. I started scouring the web for a few military watches from different parts of the world, and some that I could maybe afford, and others that I definitely couldn't afford. But generally, ones that caught my eye. So I've collated a few together for us to look at. And
Cool.
hi, Jamie. Good to see you, my
Hi,
friend.
Jamie.
Champions.
Jamie, mate.
Good to see you, Jamie boy.
Yep.
And yeah, as Julie Berger says in the chat, he learned from Pete McConville the G-Shock is the most widely used military watch, and that was on the Casual Watch Reviews channel. And I just want to big up Sam and the Casual Watch Reviews crew. Pete McConville, they're becoming one of my favorite live streams at the moment, and I'll just drop a link to their Kevin. Great to see you. Yeah,
Hey Kevin.
Kevin. Waking up.
Yeah, I got onto those guys about maybe a year ago, I think, and I catch that. I think because of the timing, I don't catch it live when it's happening, but I'll watch the replay occasionally. And yeah, it's a really cool show. Cool dudes, and they get into their watches. Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, and so yeah, the Casual Watch Reviews, brilliant channel, and they do some great live streams every Sunday and every Tuesday. And they have Pete McConville on there. They have David from Scottish Watches, and Patrick from Pocket Watch Time, and a few of the guys that I'm not acquainted with myself. But I'm just going to drop the link to their last show, where Chili Badger is referring to, where Pete talked about G-Shocks. And Pete was saying that very few people get issued watches in the services these days. And he got issued a G-Shock, Pete did, when he's in the Royal Australian Air Force. And soldiers mainly buy G-Shocks themselves these days from the reserve stores. And another point he said was that current operation-specific watches made Pete feel uncomfortable because they say that you're in a certain unit, and if you're not in that unit, you're not really qualified to really wear that watch.
Yeah, you're not meant to wear that watch if it's not your unit. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So if you're wearing a watch that has a stamp on it with a seal saying a certain unit, it feels a bit odd.
Yeah.
He also said that modern day watches are quartz, basically, and and also an interesting thing he said was that watches like the FXD aren't tool watches; they're trophy watches, which I found interesting. Trophy watches for people in the special forces, and so that I found a really interesting point. You know, these mechanical watches that are sold in the shops as special forces watches or military watches
It's
aren't
all
necessarily-
marketing. Sounds like
aren't-
marketing
yeah,
fluff.
yeah, marketing, JCB. They're not necessarily military watches. They aren't used in the field or in the water or whatever.
But I mean, with watches like the blank pan, like the 50 fathoms, for example, like that started out life as a
Sure,
as a military watch, right? Like back in the day, maybe those sort of automatics and those sort of watches, they actually were military watches, right? But over time, with the introduction of cheaper watches like G-Shocks and quartz watches, like they are the watches that you would actually wear if you were in the military, right? I mean, you want a knockabout watch, something cheap, something replaceable, something that's waterproof, something that you don't care about if it's going to get smashed up on the side of a tank or whatever the hell you're doing, right? So that makes perfect sense. What Pete's saying about all of that stuff, that just makes perfect sense. Like you wouldn't want to be wearing a $3,000-$4,000 watch in the field. At least I wouldn't be anyway. You'd be wearing a G-Shock or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, Watch Apprentice, you're making us jealous. Is watching from a very sunny beach in Greece.
I will
Oh,
trade. I'll
man.
trade winter for sunny. I will trade winter.
Yeah, I'll trade with you, Watch Apprentice. I'll go to a sunny beach in Greece rather than where I am.
Yeah.
But Y2K,
Yeah.
you've got a treat for us today.
Yes, I do. Especially for all of you and my co-hosts and our audience.
Tell
Yes.
us all about it. Tell us all about it, my friend.
So, would you want to start with the one that I did with the service, or the other special one?
First, your main special one first.
Okay. All right. Let me get the my camera up. Let me just set it up for you guys. One moment.
It's like two views of Jerry.
Yeah.
Two for the price of one. It's awesome.
Hi, Marcelo. Good to see you, my friend. So here we go. Watch cam.
Welcome to Noob Hour, everyone. Yeah, so excuse me. So, all right, let's do really for the treat for you guys today. So I've been eyeing this piece for a while now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So this watch has actually been on my radar since about, I think, last year or something. And so I've been eyeing it, and I'm wondering, like, was it good time to get it or not? FYI, for those of you who are buying Omega watches, just take note that this month, I don't know for you guys overseas, but for us here, our pricing is going to go up soon. Right, let me settle this camera.
Yeah, I
One
think
of
it might have just gone up here in Australia. Y2K, yeah.
Has it? Okay, hang on. Let me just tighten this.
All I know is I went to look at a Speedy the other day and it was damn expensive. So I'm just assuming that it has gone up a little bit. Maybe it's gonna go do
Right.
another one. I don't know.
Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get this leveled here a bit. Hang on. All right. Right. Anybody want to siphon a guess? Well, I know it's an Omega, so anybody want to throw your guesses into the chat? You're most welcome to start.
Have a guess what you think this might be.
I'll give you 10
Kevin?
seconds.
Marcelo, you want to guess? Have a guess what it might be. Omega. We know that Y2K like watches, so
Go, Prof.
Oh, very close. Okay, here we go. Bingo.
Oh, I was gonna say something
So,
thick.
woo. There we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and I present to you the Omega Ultra Deep Titanium Edition. Woo!
Wow. Ouch.
Yeah, I'm fine. My hands all right. I'd rather have my hands hurt than a watch hurt.
I was thinking more about the Navitimer actually.
That,
Oh
that's
no.
awesome.
Oh man, that is sweet. So that's the titanium ultra. Oh my god, what
Look
is the thickness of
at
that
that.
thing?
That
It's
is
like
excellent.
24 mil or something.
I think it's about 16, 17, I think. 16, 17. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the underside of the NATO strap. Yeah.
That is phenomenal, Y2K. That's my
Yeah.
kind of watch.
I love the color. The color combo is awesome.
The numerals is gorgeous. It goes with the NATO strap. Yeah.
Yeah, really nice blue.
So
Beautiful.
this piece, just to give you guys some information, the guy at Omega even gave me this little box. Whoops, that came with it too. Yeah, when they were bringing it out to show me the watch, they actually showed me this box, and the watch was actually presented inside. Then afterwards, I said I wanted this little box with it, and they just gave it to me too. Yeah.
So, do you
Oh,
want to
cool.
show us your service watch as well? 'Cause
Yes.
you-
Okay. So let me just move you aside. So this is my service watch. Yeah.
Were you in the RAF or in the army or?
Okay, so I was actually serving in the Singapore Armed Forces, but that was not really like I didn't sign on for it. We were conscripted.
Right,
It's like some countries they conscript you to do military service. So just in July I finished my service, and they gave me this piece. Yeah.
Lovely.
So this is actually an aviator. Okay. Now, I kind of saw this before. Let me just put this tripod properly a bit. Sorry there. Steady it a bit. Today is the day of my tripod being naughty. There we are. You stay still. No?
Look
Ooh.
at Ultra.
All right. I will do this even if it kills me. Hang on. Right. So it comes with this. A little note. It says, a wristwatch symbolizes the importance of timelessness and synchronization in battle. It's also an enduring reminder of the time spent and bonds forged during your national service journey. Like the generations before you, your contributions in national service have been critical and vital in safeguarding our home and way of life. Thank you for your commitment to the defense of our nation. So this is the timepiece in question. Hang on there. There we go. All right, here we go. So
Nice.
the crest you're seeing up there is actually the coat of arms. Is the army coat of arms, and so
Right.
this is an aviator. It's a quartz
The
piece. Yeah.
crest on it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me bring it up. Can you see at 6 o'clock the army's crest on top of it? Yeah.
Lovely.
Cool.
So this
Nice.
is yeah. And yeah, I think that's about it really. So today is a special treat. You know, we everyone gets to see two watches. But of course, hands down, last time they used to issue Hamilton, okay? Hamilton khaki mechanicals with the army crest, which is this logo you see up here, and it'll be inside the watch itself on the watch face at 6 o'clock, just like the one you see over here. But then in the latest years, they've actually stopped giving out Hamiltons, and now it's running with Aviator. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is quite teeny weeny for my wrist, though. So.
Take your time in the army.
2.5 years for active service and 10 years active reservist. So like 10 years, they will call you up once a year. You go back in and you do reservist like firearms training. I was actually a logistician. So a logistician is the one where we deal with the supply. So we deliver critical supplies to the front lines and as well as resupply troops in the back, as well as bring up critical medical supplies, ammunition. Yeah. So we weren't really considered like the A game players, but we were more of like the support team. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we see a wrist shot with the ultra deep?
Yeah, sure. Let me just tilt this properly. Sorry guys. My tripod today's gone wonky. Yeah. Right, hang on a sec. Ooh. Just for information, the NATO strap for the Ultra Deep is actually really good. Yeah. So
That's a big watch.
Yeah, Omega NATO is a good quality.
So they are actually pretty brilliant. Yeah. Now just remember that this watch, they don't have. You can't have the other option to put on bracelets or any other kind of like non-NATO. It has to be a NATO strap. So let me just put it on for you guys, and then I will show you the how it fits on my wrist. Fun fact: you can actually wear a long sleeve shirt, and it can still go underneath it because I've tried it already. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
All right.
Man,
So
that is one chunky monkey.
actually, I've actually brought this watch to a bunch of different friends of mine, and they've tried it on, and it's actually quite comfortable. Yeah, you don't feel that it's really in the way. And I wore it for a full week. Nobody in my workplace even noticed it. It's very subtle. It's very quiet. Yeah, really. No one
Quite
actually.
go under the cuff, though, does it?
Sorry.
Doesn't quite go under the cuff.
Yes, it can go underneath the cuff. Yeah.
That's lovely, Y2Go. Thank you for showing us those, and we'll get on with some more army watches.
Thank you, guys.
Great stuff.
Congrats, Y2K. Cool watch, man.
Thank you so much.
Really nice watch,
Right.
buddy.
Thank you, Abdul. Yeah.
And a Y2K watch cam. Yeah, just I'd say hi to where's he gone? Where's his comment gone? Russell, good to see you, my friend. It's
Hey, Russell.
as I know nothing about military watches. Well, I'm just a military watch fan, and I don't know loads, and so hopefully we'll teach you a bit. Russell says it looks amazing. Y2K.
Thank you, gents. I did a wrist shot on my sleeve, on my long office shirt. So I'll prove it to you guys. Actual fact, I promise you that you can wear it underneath a long sleeve shirt. We'll debunk the people who say, "Oh, you can't wear it under a long sleeve shirt." Here we go.
Burger says it's a dinner plate on the Y2K's wrist.
Dinner plate. And there we go. Yeah, it's an office shirt. All right. Now to prove to you,
Squeezed under there, mate. It is
Squeezed, yeah.
That is
no. You've
that
got
cuff
two
is about to
buttons.
snap, mate. That is.
You've got two buttons, okay? And you can always put it on the looser button, and then it whoop, goes in. Yeah, really. And okay, that was the color I was dressed that day for work. Yeah, let me just zoom it in. for you. Yeah, there we go.
Matchy. Nice.
Right, I'll start us off on some.
Yeah, how heavy is it? Is it like is it titanium, right?
Yes, it's titanium, grade 5 titanium. Let me just pull up some information for you guys about this piece. Just quickly, it's using the grade 5 titanium. It's running the Omega caliber 8912 movement. It's META certified and it is resistant to magnetic fields up to 15,000 Gauss with 60 hours of power reserve, self-winding. And here's the sound. Is it for? There you go.
And it's 6,000 meters.
6,000 meters.
6,000 meters of water resistance. Literally, I could say is the you could say the Mount Everest of timepieces.
Thank you, Turtle Knight. Very kind of you to remind us. Yeah.
Thank you, Turtle Knight.
Give us a like and a subscribe, guys. If you're not subscribed already, it's an invitation to subscribe. So, I'll crack on with a couple of the watches that I've been sort of browsing the past week, and some quite obscure ones from around the world. I didn't just stick to British ones. I thought I'd have a look at all sorts of different ones. And this is an interesting one, a Breitling Navitimer from the Iraqi Air Force. This is originally issued to the Iraq Air Force and dates back to 1976. It has a specially adapted dial with the Iraqi Air Force wings on it, which replaced the Breitling wings.
Yeah,
And
let's notice that. Cool.
Especially engraved case back with either the country or Air Force's crest on it. And this is an auction house website. It came from a collector in original condition with a little corrosion on the dial and patination on the hands. And it comes on a Jean Rousseau strap with a Breitling tang buckle. And none of the parts have been changed. And I don't think you'd see a soldier wearing it on a Jean Rousseau strap. But I just thought it was quite an interesting one.
Yeah, what's the size of that one, Thomas? It looks like a big boy, like 48 mil or something. Have you got that?
I'm not sure. I didn't.
That's right.
Check the size.
I think this is about 44. Looks like a 44 at least.
So
48 mil. 48
yeah.
mil.
Wow, JCB right on top of it.
Yeah, that there was I can't remember there's a Navitime series that comes in 48 like this one. The name escapes me at the moment. That this is clearly based on that. Yeah,
It's got
cool
that
piece.
crest on the back.
Yeah. Was this at auction? How much did it go for? Just out of interest, have they got the how much of it?
Didn't get to see how.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just
it's unavailable.
Yeah.
Is that like a escape valve or what? What's that hole in
the little black,
position?
the little black spot on the 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
It could be Abdul, but I don't think they'd take it. It's an Air Force watch, so I don't think they'd be taking it underwater.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Yeah, Navitimers aren't really known for their water resistance.
Exactly, right?
Generally, chrono watches have a bit of an Achilles heel when it comes to water.
Yeah.
You see there again. I mean, maybe it was another pusher or something.
Maybe you can somehow mount it on something, right?
Possibly. In the aircraft, if you say.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Something like a mount, like just plug it in, so to speak.
Yeah. An interesting one started off with Iraqi Air Force. Hi, Mark P. Good to see
Yeah.
you.
Hello, Mark P.
Hey, Mark.
Thank you. Knocking out some
Oh,
great
hey, Mark
shows.
P's in
Thank
the
you,
chat.
Mark. Good to see
Yeah.
you.
How are you, buddy? Good to see you, mate.
So that was the first one that caught my eye.
Cool
Iraqi
piece. Yeah,
Air
interesting.
Force. I mean, I wouldn't have imagined the Iraqi Air Force to be issuing nice watches, but there you go. I mean,
Yeah, I think in the Saddam Hussein time, he took really good care of the military, so to speak, because he has a plethora of high quality watches and had really good contacts with Rolex, Patek, and
really,
everybody.
Yeah.
So
right.
definitely can find watches like this. I think roaming around.
Yeah. Sorry, Abdul. I'll just put it in the chat. The Navitimer it's based on is called the Chronomatic.
Right.
And
Okay.
yeah, I think that came out sometime in the 70s. I reckon. I'm gonna say like early 70s.
The crown was on the left-hand side, the watch apprentice, and the pushers were on the right-hand side. A bit like the caliber 11 tag Monaco. This was an interesting one. I'm a big fan of the Enikar Sherpa, and this is a stainless steel compressor big case diver by Enikar that was issued to the Polish Marines around 1970. So this example is a Polish military Mark II. It's a 41mm excluding the crowns, and the sapphire glass is original. The rotating in the bezel has some slight stains that have faded into a light grey colour, and the tritium has a pumpkin patina on the indexes and hands. The case has been polished but retains its original shapes, and the case back shows wear and the ID numbers of the Marinaka Wojera, which is Polish Army. Dodger will correct me on that, but I've probably butchered that pronunciation. And it's easily readable. The automatic movement was working fine, but not serviced on this one. And I quite like it. I really like this one myself. So as you can
It's
see,
got that sort of JLC compressor sort of type of look about it too. Yeah, real cool.
Yeah, I was just gonna say exactly GLC Memovox, something like that sort. Look, really nice.
I gotta give it to them. The credit where it's due. The crystal is amazing. I thought literally there was like a protection on top of the crystal, but when you zoomed in, Thomas, it didn't look like there's a protector.
Have any of you guys ever had a watch with a inner rotating bezel before?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you use it much? Like
no. In fact, JCB, I'll tell you, it's terrible because I had one piece. The trick about using an inner bezel was that you sometimes you need to really have very stable fingers because you miss it. You're like, oh, I have to do it all over again.
You gotta go again.
Yeah. Sorry, Thomas. Go ahead.
No, carry on.
So in terms of like inner bezel, I prefer external bezel because it's still easier to turn, and especially if you have sometimes your hands are wet and oily, and then you're in the field, it's muddy. You are like trying to turn and you miss it. You like have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
You don't see. I'm just trying to think. Like these days, you still see the odd watch that is released with an inner bezel, but it seems like it was a very niche thing. Like a few watches had them, but most people preferred the outer external bezel, and that's just sort of what stuck. And I imagine it's exactly for those reasons that you mentioned there, Y2K. Just much easier to grip and operate, and much more functional for the people who are using them, like actual divers and military people or whatever.
And just to show you all something which came up to my mind just now. This is called a Luminox.
Luminox, yep.
Apparently, it's very popular with divers, naval divers. This was setting me about 1,000 Singapore dollars. So what I wanted to share
Yep.
with you all when we talk about the bezel, yes. So there is a teeth here. You pull this teeth to open it up. Actually, it's quite sharp here. Let me just turn it this way so you can actually. So it's actually very sharp over here. And then only then can you actually turn the bezel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a bezel lock,
Right?
basically.
So it's
yeah,
a bezel lock. Yeah. So when
Yeah.
you turn it back there, you just put it back down. Bezel's lock. You can't turn it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
like the
so-
P01 has that, doesn't it, Thomas? That's like a bezel
yeah,
lock
it's
on
got
top.
Funny, it's got like a latch on the top that,
Yeah.
that you flip up. It's like a flip lock system.
Yep.
Yep.
So on to one that you'll know, JCB, because I own one of these, but I'm always eyeing them up.
Looking them up. Yeah. I've got a feeling I
Yeah.
know what's coming up next.
Yeah, this is the Seiko Gen 1, the 7828-7120. And
Man.
I love this one. This is issued to helicopter pilots in the RAF and Army Air Corps in the 1980s and 90s. The Generation 1 was the first quartz chronograph used by the MLD, Ministry of Defense, which featured the Seiko 7828 caliber, which was the first analog quartz chronograph movement in the world. And the watches are very popular, and some say a great investment. But this is selling for £725. Sorry, and but just over 11,000 in total were commissioned by the Ministry of Defense. But how many are still around isn't known. Movement parts are easy to find, and as Seiko used the 7828 movement in many civilian models too, like the Speed Timer 37, and this is 37 millimeters, and this model is fully tested with chrono reset function working well, and the original crystals in good condition. It's just such a great fun watch. It's
just a bloody design icon. Look at the design of the watch. Like it's so simple, functional. It's just got everything there. It's legible. It's just such a cool watch. It's just unreal. This little niche of the market, like these old 7828s and 7838s, Seiko. And I'm always got my eye on them on eBay, but I've just missed the boat. They're just so expensive now. And it's all guys like us, like we grew up with this stuff when we were young, and this was what was around, in the 80s. It's sort of like classic cars, like the guys that are our age with all the money, they're the ones buying the Testarossas and the Countages and all that sort of stuff and paying crazy money for them. So it's the same thing has happened to these bloody quartz chronographs, believe it or not. It's just a really weird little niche of the market that's gone mental. I would love if they just made something like this again.
Can you hear me better now, guys? I've tried turning my volume up. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, you're better now. Yeah, you're better now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was cutting in and out a little bit before.
I agree, GCB, buddy. I totally agree on that. I see the trend now, the last maybe 5 years, 6 years. All the stuff that was cool, let's say 80s and early 90s, are now just starting to be so expensive somehow, even though you could get a Testarossa for peanuts a couple of years ago, and these watches used to go for nothing. But nowadays, somehow, just people started buying them up. And because of the real limitation, not like Rolex limitation, they just went up, supply and demand.
Yeah.
Well, the famous story about me acquiring mine was I bought mine for £7.50 off a friend whose dad stole his dad.
Was it something to do with cigarettes or something?
Yeah, because he wanted to buy a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I was in college, back in the 1990, that was.
Yeah,
Back
I
at
remember that.
sixth form college.
Great story.
And,
Wow.
Such a good story.
yeah.
Hey,
I just want to give a shout out to Flippin, who's joined us in the chat as well.
Good to see you, my friend.
Hello,
Cheers,
Zippo.
man. Long time,
Long
brother.
time no
Good to see
see,
you.
my mate.
But you know the thing is about these watches, like I've got something similar, Thomas. It's not a military one, but it is a it's like a 37 mil quartz Seiko from more the late 80s, and they're just really cool watches. They're small and dainty. They're really thin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just cool little watches. I think that they might be a little bit on the small side now. If they were more like 39, 40 mil, that would be perfect. But they're just actually just really cool little watches, you know. And the fact that they're quartz, you can just chuck the battery in. You know, when you need to, you can pop the case back open. And you know you can sort of just do the battery change yourself. They're just cool little watches. I think that's sort of part of the appeal. That's what I find anyway. It's that
So
sort
this
of
is a 1984 issue. You can see here with the 84 just on the stamp. And this is what you need. You need the military markings. That's what it's all about when collecting military watches.
Yeah.
The military markings.
Yeah, every now and then one of these will pop up on eBay, and in Aussie dollars, when I see it, it's usually around the 3,000 Australian dollars, which would be, which would be like something, I don't know, maybe £1,000 or something like that. Yeah, depending on the condition, obviously, there's a bit of variance, but like really expensive, like super expensive. It's just a weird little collector's niche that's just sprung up out of nowhere, really. I think 73 Math might have one of those as well.
He does. He's got one. Yeah. Math's got one. Yeah. That's right. So another Seiko, which I found interesting. This is an interesting little one. The stainless steel Seiko diver, the 7005-8140. Now looks nice on wrist. There's a few iterations of this though. This diver was ordered by the Shah of Iran, the King of Iran, Mohammed Reza Pahlavi, who reigned from 1919 to 1980 for the officers of the Iranian Royal Army in 1970. And these watches were only given to some of the officers of the Iranian Royal Army, many of whom were dismissed or executed, apparently, following the overthrowing of the Shah during the Iranian Revolution in 1979. So very few of these watches survive today, apparently. And so this one's going for £1,000 on eBay. You can see the crest on the top.
Yeah.
And, but I've seen a few of these ones, some with Pepsi dials, some with the UFO shaped case, all with the same crest on. And but an interesting watch.
Super interesting. Yeah. Sorry, did you say how many of these they made, Thomas?
I didn't say how many they'd made. No.
I love that Seiko case shape. It's that funky little cushion case. You still see Seiko chronographs, sort of cheaper ones, still using that case shape to this day.
My friend.
Hey, Saad.
Hey, Saad. What's up, my brother? Good for you to join us.
You're right, JCB. The bracelet is we still see the same design of this bracelet for Seiko 5s even till today.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's the crystal that gives away, because I think Seiko's still using the Hartlek crystal. Is it for this piece? Yeah.
Looks like it. Yeah.
There's a bit of wear on the 6 o'clock there, so I think it's quite signature of the Hartlek's crystal. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's going for about 1,000.
Yeah, £999. That's going for.
Oh, okay. That's actually, compared to the last one, quartz one. This one with exactly. I think maybe the Iran connection it's not working too much in its favor than if it's only
no.
1,000, right?
I've seen them a lot cheaper though. I've seen them go for £500. Different the Coke
Yeah.
ones and the
Mm.
so there's obviously still a few of them about.
Because I don't see a lot of Seikos with the Seiko, let's say, logo, not on the 12 o'clock. So
Yeah,
it
it's at
really,
9 o'clock. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You don't see a lot of those. I like it. It looks nice.
Yeah. So the next one is I was really thinking of buying one of these and did a bit of research and hit upon this website which has got loads of info about it. This is the American GG-W-113 pilot's watch. Now there are three three companies made these. Just sort of read a bit of bump that I got off this website. So they say since the beginning of modern military warfare, the US government has utilized private manufacturing for the production of its vehicles, equipment, weapons, and watches, to name a few things. Instead of producing their own, the US government generally provides a specification that was dutifully followed by its contractors. Enter the GG-W-113, one of the US government's longest running specifications. This document detailed the design and requirements for the wristwatch issued to its military pilots. Issued on June 6, 1967, this specification highlighted the US military's need for a legible, accurate, and durable timepiece for use in active combat situations. The basic summary of the document required a mechanical movement with an accuracy of plus minus 30 seconds a day, 15 joules, a hacking mechanism, shock resistance, must survive a fall of 4 feet onto a wooden block, which I found funny, waterproofness, luminous hands using tritium, anti-magnetic, minimum of 36 hours power reserve, and it goes on to say, these are pretty standard requirements for a military watch. However, the specification also includes detailed schematics for the dial and case design with a bit of creative allowance. And you can see some of those here. And these watches were produced by American watchers Benrus, Hamilton, and Marathon, and were produced between 1967 and the late 80s, when quartz movements began to gain popularity and start replacing mechanical models. They were utilized most prominently in the Vietnam War, but may also have been deployed in conflicts in the Persian Gulf and Middle East. There is generally some confusion between the GG-W-113 specifications and its predecessor, the MIL W3818B. Although both of these watches look nearly identical, the GG-W-113 was issued to military pilots, while the MIL W3818B was issued to troops on the ground. Its movement was generally considered lower quality and differed primarily in its jewel count. Additionally, some of the field troop models lacked a hacking movement. All of these watches bear case back markings with contract type, federal stock number, manufacturing part number, contract number, manufacturer month and year, and serial number. These make it easy to identify the manufacturer and year of issue for those looking to acquire one. The dial layout of the watch is very similar, with some manufacturers adding bits and pieces, and the classic black dial with 12 hours in Arabic numerals, an inner ring marking the 12-hour time, and a 60-second increment index with darts indicating the hour positions. So I'll just try and bring that up. they're 35 millimeters. And they're 34 to 35 millimeters, and the luminous hands produced using radioactive tritium, which has a half-life of only 12 years. So they should be okay to wear now. And the cases on the watches are stainless steel with a matte finish or parkerized finish. Parkerization is a method of protecting a steel surface from corrosion through the application of a chemical phosphate conversion. And these finishes were more durable, less reflective, and generally better suited for military application, as they held up better in extreme weather under heavy use. So this is the that's the marathon version. So we'll go through the three versions, which are really.
It's interesting, that picture of the spec of the hands that you had before. I didn't realize that they go into that much detail.
Yeah, well,
for when they're speccing it out.
Yeah, a lot of spec. There's a lot more if you really go into the specs. So this is the Hamilton model, and this Hamilton model is the most desirable of the variants due to the modern popularity of the brand. The modern homage is the Hamilton Khaki Field, so this is a predecessor to the Hamilton Khaki watch. As I say, the modern homage is the Hamilton Khaki Field manual wind, but many people don't realize that you can get one of these vintage original versions of this watch for half the price of the modern production Hamilton Khaki. It has a manual wind ETA 2750 with hacking, and some are signed H.W.Co, which is Hamilton Watch Company. So these go for $250 to $500, and they're made from 1967 to 86. So these are going for about $500. These, which I thought was, that's why I was hunting them down, looking at them, because these are sort of Vietnam war watches, which are only going for $500, which is tops, And the one I was most interested in, so that was the Hamilton. The one I was most interested in was the Benrus, which I really liked. This Benrus looks extremely similar to the Hamilton, as both manufacturers utilized a sterile version of the design for their dials. In addition to the military use issue, the GGW 113, Benrus issued a civilian version that is known to collectors as the Bullet, because it was famously worn by Steve McQueen in the 1968 movie of the same name, gracing the wrist of San Francisco cop Frank Bullitt as he raced around the streets in his dark green Ford Mustang. And this model is easy to differentiate by noting its red tip second hand, and again can be had from between $250 to $500, and was also made from 1967 to 1986, and also uses an ETA 2750. Sorry. So I would rather have one of these than a modern Hamilton Khaki, to be honest with you.
Actually, Thomas, just something very interesting that you're sharing, for those of you who are looking at what we're seeing here, is that I actually thought about it. I pulled out my modern Hamilton Khaki. So if we compare the modern one, and then we are looking at the older variants, it hasn't changed too much in terms of its DNA. The DNA, in terms that looks very similar, number one is the numerals, the way that the numerals are set. I'm going to tilt at an angle. Okay, what I want you guys to observe is that you notice that the numerals are raised. Yes?
Yeah.
So one thing is that till today, the numerals are raised. And check out the hands. Look at the hands. So even till today, the hands are still kept the same.
It looks exactly the same, basically.
Yeah.
Like they haven't really changed it much at all.
Not much change. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the 49mm Hamilton Khaki mechanical with the date window. Just the minor complication of the date window, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, total copy. But
Yeah.
how much was that? How much was that?
1,200 Singapore dollars. That would be around. Let me do a quick calculation if I can. SGD to. Let me just do it in dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, in dollars.
Right. Right. So 1,200. That's about $886.79 USD.
Yeah. So you could have bought an original one for less than $500.
And the power reserve on pretty much almost a lot of these Hamiltons are going into the high 70s already. When I say high 70s, it's 70 hours and beyond.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the power reserve would be better.
Correct. Yeah. But the movement itself, it's still not too bad because apparently they're still very easy to service. So they were much, the whole idea of like military watches is that aside from reliability, it has to be easy to be serviced. Yeah.
So the last version, the marathon version. Now this is slightly different. The marathon version is considered the rarest, produced from 1984 to 86. It followed the mil spec closely, but differs from the others in a few areas. The dial contains a lot of text saying US government and H3 and the radioactive symbol. And some say this detracts from the legibility, while others say it adds to character. And the case is different too, and is also found on the CWC G10 and Persister made for the British military, although they use quartz movements in those cases. And this uses a 17 jewel ETA 2801-2 hand-wound movement signed by Gallet. And Gallet is a historic Swiss manufacturer considered the world's oldest watch and clockmaking company with official production dating back to 1826. And the Marathon brand was actually a trademark of Gallet, but it was taken over when the Wine brothers in 1984 during the collaboration, which marked the genesis of the modern Marathon brand, as they continue to produce military and civilian watches to this day. And this is a bit more expensive. It's $350 to $800. So, but as I say, I'm a big fan of the Benrus myself. So,
Speaking of marathon, Thomas, I may have been bitten by the pilot's watch bug. Marathon actually have their pilot's Navigator watch. Have you seen it before?
About to follow up with that Y2K. Yeah, I'm just about to follow up with it.
Wonderful.
So, as Y2K mentioned, the Marathon Navigator. Now, this is another one I was seriously considering because these are available at pretty cheap prices. Here we go. Yeah, the Marathon Navigator. This is the official watch issued to the US Armed Forces and government agencies, and it has US government printed on the dial. This watch is a favorite amongst US military pilots and special forces. It uses a government contract ETA 3 jewel quartz movement, and it also has the US government markings on the case back. This one is the latest to the 2023 production and has IAW mil-pre 46374G type 3 class 1 specification. That's a bit of a mouthful. And it's 44 mil with a 20 mil nylon strap. The watch is highly legible because of the tritium glass tubes for each hour marker on the hands, which allow very bright, which glow very brightly at night. Sorry. The glass file at 12 o'clock glows red, so you know which side is the right side up at night. And and modded after the Seiko steel version mount made in the 1990s. The Desert Storm campaign. This navigator is made of a composite material consisting of nylon fiberglass that is very rugged. And like the previous 1990s model, it's also explosion proof, apparently. Sensei is designed to withstand easy access. It's designed in the sense it's designed to withstand an immediate rapid decompression at altitude of up to 3,500 feet, and this is necessary for pilots who eject from aircraft or Navy SEALs who may be on missions doing high altitude halo jumps.
Halo jumps, yeah.
I'll just get to a picture of that.
What's a halo jump?
One of those.
High altitude jump.
Oh,
Yeah.
high altitude halo. Oh, yes, halo. Oh, yeah.
And on the 12-inch nylon flight strap, the watch can be worn on the wrist or over a jacket. And these are going for $453, which is £355. So I'm really interested in getting one of these, to be honest with you. A really nice looking watch.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't mind that.
The case is actually very interesting because I think they actually have within their Pilot's Navigator line a bunch of different types of color configurations. Yeah, but most of them all use nylon straps with the 24-hour. If you guys look carefully at the dial, they've actually got the 24-hour hours inside the dial as well.
But these ones here that are going on eBay are actually they're actually issued to the army, and they've got all the markings on the back. They've got all the stamps on the back, and this person selling them has got them from some army stores. And, they actually come in the box that the American RAF or Air Force with the
USAF, I think.
Put the
USAF.
Put the eBay link in the private chat, Thomas. So does that bezel rotate? Is it functional?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you guys, or what do the military use those bezels for when it's got like just like it's a 12 bezel? Do you count hours? Like, what are you counting with that?
With bezels, mostly it's for calculating. They can actually synchronize their watches. If you know, sometimes you watch movies, they said, okay, synchronize watches, right? So they, aside from using digital watches, they would use the bezel sometimes. It's more of a cheat because they're trying to mark the exact time that they start the operations. Aside from normal bezel that we always know, it's always used for diving. So they would calculate the time that they go into the water, and then the arrow is where they start the dive. Yeah, so they can know how much air they've got left. Yeah.
I just like the way
you could always
U.S. government on it, and it's sort of like official.
You could always use that to track a second time zone as well. I guess you can move that bezel around and use it as another.
The counters only go up to the number 4, where on the proper military dive watches, they often go, the counters go all the way round.
Yeah, but with the
I think it. Sorry, GCB, you're right. It could be doing like a dual time, right? Because you can just move the bezel around +2, for instance, and you'd be like syncing to another time. I think it's the bezel function is just can give you whatever the mission requires. You can use the bezel for it, right?
Yeah.
So that was the Marathon Navigator, which I think I may be adding to my list. To be honest, well, it's on the list. It's yeah, definitely. So the next one I found was really interesting as well. These are really cheap, but I checked with Disser's Dis on one of his streams, and they I couldn't believe these were an actual army supplier. ADI watches, ADI watches, and I couldn't believe they're an actual supplier, but they are. And I mean, take this one for instance.
Is that an Israeli brand?
Yeah, this is an
ADI?
Israeli brand. Israeli Defense Forces diving watch.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Golani Brigade diving watch, I believe, adorned with the symbol of the Golani Brigade olive tree on the dial. No, I've got the wrong one.
This
Man,
is the Air Force one, I think. Yeah.
They've rated the Seiko SKX parts bin there. You can see the case.
JCB, I was gonna say that too. Yeah,
the bezel, that's a fucking SKX.
The case,
bezel.
the case.
Yeah.
The case.
Not the first time to copy stuff and say it's ours, right?
So this is the Defense Forces diving watch, which is £148 to buy. And it's 38mm stainless steel, features the insignia of the Israeli Defense Forces on the dial. The most battle-tested armed forces in the world, say. There's a quartz movement, which it should be for a military watch these days.
Okay.
And 200 meters water resistant. And yeah, ADI Watch is a classic Israeli wrist fashion brand located in Kibbutz Yevan. And the ADI watches are all designed and assembled in Israel from start to finish, while their innovative styles and high quality craftsmanship have been for decades and made the company a huge success both in Israel and around the world. And among ADI's unique designs are these specifically made for the elite units in the Israel Defense Forces, including the Israel Air Force and Navy. So I just found this a really interesting brand. They're really cheap.
Yeah, I think so. It's assembled in Israel, so they get the parts from China or Japan.
I would imagine so.
I'm guessing it's coming out of a Seiko factory somewhere, maybe Malaysia or something like that, and they just assemble it in Israel. Yeah.
Bestseller, IDF diving watch by ADI. Yeah.
I was gonna say they got all the mid-size SKX that nobody wants to buy, and then they brought them in and put on a different dial, I think.
JCB, if you paint it red and blue and white, it would just be pretty much like the SKX, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I asked this in his chat on his stream, he said they're nothing special, but they are issued to the military, and but yeah, interesting watches. This is the Golani, sorry. The Golani Brigade diving watch. And it's adorned with the symbol of the Golani Brigade olive tree, which means olive tree, on the dial. And underneath is written in Hebrew, My Golani, in Hebrew, at the bottom there.
Why do all the straps say wind velocity? What the hell is that? What's that about?
I'm not sure, actually. Maybe it's one of the parts that they acquired and thought was appropriate to put on the watch.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought that was a tree. Then I thought it might have been a mushroom cloud. But they were like a bombing unit or something like that.
I think this is for the ground forces, isn't it? For the army, because normally symbols will be linked and tied to the unit they're being assigned to.
Hi, Curtis.
Hi, Curtis.
Curtis, how are you doing?
All is well.
Good morning,
Early morning.
San Diego. It's 4:35 in the morning here. Oh, Curtis.
Wow.
You trooper.
And he's wearing his watch, his marathon.
41mm
GSR.
marathon DSR automatic.
Yeah, when you had the marathons up on the screen before, I was going to mention the GSR because that's the main one that I know of.
Yeah, that's a
marathon.
very popular one at the moment. That's a little spec watch as well, issued to the police as well as the military, I believe. So we'll move on. This is an interesting brand. Never heard of them before, but I looked up what watches do the SAS use, and it came up with this brand. I think this must have been in the past. Nite watches. So if you haven't heard of Nite watches, they're a UK-based brand specializing in tritium tubes and military watches. The MX-10 is a key model in Nite's lineup. It confirmed the brand's ability of creating a tough, practical watches when in 2005 it was issued a NATO codification reference, and Nite were contracted to supply the British Special Forces. This is an old review I'm pulling up, and the current black PVD version with PVD bracelet costs £390 or £300 for the black rubber strap. It uses a Swiss-made Ronda 715 quarter movement and is 39mm and 180 grams. It uses a push-down crown instead of a screw-down crown, and is unusual considering it's a military watch, but it isn't a dedicated diver's watch. It has a flat sapphire crystal supporting its tough military tool watch status, which has a triple anti-reflective coating, and on the underside, the lugs are a unique shape that you won't be able to fit another standard strap to the MX-10, and the lugs have a large sweeping top flowing shape. The lugs have a large sweeping top following the shape of the wrist, with a large semicircular cutout. These stick out quite fast, so if you have wrists smaller than 7.5 inches, they may not follow the shape of your wrist too well, and you may have a gap in between the lug on your wrist. It measures 52mm lug to lug, which is pretty long for a watch this size. And the screw-down case pack has the NATO stock number, the details about the tritium tubes, its water resistance to 100 meters, and the GTLS gaseous tritium light source tubes, a self-powered light source using tritium gas which reacts with phosphorus on the inside of the tube to create a light, so no changing is required. They glow for about 25 years, and tritium light sources are regularly used in the military and often found on the sights on various rifles. Green tubes are the brightest and most visible you get, and the matte black PVD version offers much better legibility than this one you see here. From design standpoint, the MX-10 is definitely focused on practicality over beautiful design, but it serves a purpose. And the dial has a classic Arabic numerals with a 24-hour ring inside. The bracelet is comfortable, they say, but well built. And it looks like an ugly duckling to me. Awful watch. I think it looks horrible in the steel version. But I couldn't.
I didn't want to say that, Tom, but that's what I think as well.
Yeah, I couldn't bring up the website, but I could only bring up this review. But
Where's that?
Tom-
Is this a US military watch? Is it?
It's
Did
a
you say, Tom?
SAS.
US?
British.
British SAS.
It's
Sorry.
a British company as well. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't catch that part right at the start. Okay.
The only credit I'll give them, Thomas, okay, and everyone, is that particular little reflection from that angle of the bracelet right there. The previous picture right there, yeah. There's this area where the light seems to bounce off it on the left, on the
Yeah.
12 o'clock mark. Now that's the only part I felt it looks a bit nice because it looks like a corner of a car, the bumper of a car. So that's why I would say that it makes it look nice.
Well,
JCB.
That's the only part that looks nice. It's this little sliver of metal.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
funny.
That little bit.
Funny.
I mean, you look at the case
Yeah.
construction. It looks quite, because I think there is probably a purpose. I think they want it to be more like hiding inside the long sleeves of the army fatigues. Yeah.
Mm.
JCB, are you familiar with the brand? And everyone, are you familiar with a brand called Panzera? Right.
Panzera. I've heard of the brand. Yeah.
It's from your neck of your woods. So
Yeah.
the inside of the dial is actually, I call it like a bowl, shaped like
Yep.
a bowl as well inside here too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's a Panzera.
Yeah, this is a
Is it?
Panzera. My first
Yeah.
Panzera from them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Aussie. That's the Aussie guys are making that one, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you find that?
Pretty good actually. This is the one that I was telling you that had that inside bezel when you turn.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think the inner bezel, maybe I'm not used to turning that. So if you want to screw it tight because you want to make sure water tightness,
Yeah.
sometimes you can cause the inner bezel to move. So when you first engage it, you have to push it down and then turn it, so that you don't move the bezel, the inner bezel. Yeah. Sorry, Thomas, deviation from there.
We're gonna get off this, Brad, because I can't stand looking at that watch. It's so.
Yeah, we're gonna
horrible.
move on from that one.
Yeah, it's so awful. I don't care what the SAS use it. It's just ugly else. We're gonna move on to some classics now.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna pull up a mill sub or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll go on to classics. So the Omega 165.024, the military Seamaster 300, was manufactured by
Damn.
the British forces under strict guidelines given by the Ministry of Defence. The official document includes the specification of the solid bars for the attachment of a NATO-style canvas strap, the bezel with register for the full 60 seconds, unlike the Marathon Navigator we saw. The bezel's got 60 seconds on it. Tritium luminous paint applied to the hands, and the dial symbolized by a T in the circle to the tritium, and the oversized hands for legibility. Due to the fact that this watch was very much a tool watch, many were discarded, destroyed, or changed, making complete examples very sought after. This one is particularly unusual as it was issued specifically to the Royal Navy, who utilised the Seamaster 300 for most of the 1960s before moving on to the Rolex Submariner in 1971. And it is repeated that having knowledge that the submariners were available, some divers would intentionally damage the crown of their Omegas that they would get then get replaced by the more desirable Rolex. So some divers,
That's pretty funny.
yeah,
What?
some divers would actually knock off the crown so that they could get their watch replaced by a Rolex, as the Rolex were getting brought in, which is, is more desirable. They knew. As such, the available of the military Omegas in working order can be harder to come by. A particularly nice feature of this particular one is the straight-edged 3 on the bezel rather than the curved 3, and which is complemented by the pointing tips of the 4 and the 40 next to it. This one was manufactured on the 31st of July 1968 and issued in 1970, and it uses Omega's caliber 552 automatic movement, and it's sold for £50,000 in September 2016. So
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's an absolute stunner.
Yeah.
Well, it's very thin.
Yeah, I'm in love with this watch. This is would be one of my grails. You see the markings on the back there.
Yes.
Yeah.
1970, is that right?
Yeah, 1970. That's when it was issued. But this is
That's
just
cool.
Give it a
They
very
had
nice NATO. Yeah.
They had
Sorry.
loomed bezels back then. Just pretty cool.
But look at those hands, those sword hands, just beautiful.
Yeah. That's the thing I love about the Seamasters is that they've kept a lot of the DNA into particularly in the Planet Ocean line. You see a lot of this. You see a lot of these DNA, like the shape of the markers and the numerals on the dial, like that same font. You see some of that sort of stuff. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, let's go back to the original. Sure, it looks so nice on that strap as well.
It doesn't it? Yeah, that green strap, that just suits it so well. Khaki, I should say. Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
I mean, you look at the bezel, there seems to be a little bit of patina setting in on the numbers too.
Yeah. Someone, I think because it was, I think ID guy was predicting that they were going to reissue this watch this year, which would be pretty cool. I'm not sure if it'll happen. We'll have to wait till the year's out, but yeah, if they did that, it'd be really cool.
Like the sword hands, it's a proper Seamaster 300 165.024. It'd break the internet.
Yeah, that's right. Like the only modern Seamaster that had sword hands was the 2254, and that they haven't. I think when was that around? I think maybe they finished that production sometime around 2010. I think. Yeah, I think it was around then. So they don't have any sword hands watches. They haven't made any since then. So they really should bring something out with sword hands. It's like, why haven't they done it?
To its predecessor that took over in 1971. And move on to the watch that overtook it and is very expensive. The Rolex Steel Submariner Milsom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this one had an estimate in 2020, had an estimate of $140,000 to $240,000, and sold for $400,000.
Far out. That's crazy. What year? When was that?
2020, 29th of October.
2020. Okay.
And if you
Yeah,
just,
I thought these were around the 150 mark.
if
I
you
didn't
just
think. I didn't know they were that much.
That's a lot of money.
Is there anything special about this particular one, or is that sort of indicative of the market? Do you think, Thomas?
it's just indicative of the market. I mean, this is the watch that replaced the Omega 165.024 Seamaster 300 for the British forces in the 1970s. The military version of the Rolex Submariner reference 5513 was adapted following the specifications request by the British Ministry of Defence. The watches had to be fitted with a fixed bar lugs with a diameter of at least 2 mil. The dials had to be easily readable and were therefore equipped with larger sword hands. They also had to show the international symbol for tritium in the encircled T. The hack feature allowed the precise setting of time was another request. The models furthermore had a unique bezel with 60-minute markers rather than the first 15 minutes. And the outside of the case backs were marked with the military broad arrow sign, Ministry of Defence issue numbers and unit number. And the inside of the case backs also repeated. The serial number is commonly only found in the lugs. And the outside of the case of this watch is engraved with the following markings: 0552 for British Ministry of Defence, 923-7697 for the NATO code. NATO standing for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That's something I learned off this post. And the broad arrow characterizing all watches owned by the British Army. The issue number, which is 666, and the issue year, which is 1977 on this one. And this one's an excellent overall condition and was one of the most attractive examples of this legendary model to appear in a public auction in recent years.
Yeah, I've got a feeling the value is probably because of that, Thomas. Like, because it's such a good example, it probably is at the upper end of, it's way off the chart, really. Because I just didn't think they were worth like that much. Like that's mega though.
This also comes with a letter confirming it was supplied in June 1977 to Her Majesty's Dockyard, Devonport. So this comes with all the paperwork and everything. So it's not surprising that this went for 400,000. This pristine example, it looks like it's hardly been used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is like the granddaddy of all subs. Like if you're a sub collector, this is like the holy grail of subs, really.
The Genesis, yeah.
Yeah, like this and the Comex sub, they're probably the two most sought after versions of the sub, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but very cool. So Sword Hands was an MOD spec thing.
Ministry of Defence spec, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know that. Like, I mean, it's sort of in the back of my mind, I sort of knew it, but I didn't. It's not just hitting me now that it's that's a MOD spec thing. Yeah, That's really interesting.
Yeah, so Sword Hands will appear on the next watch, which superseded the Mill Sub, which is the CWC Cabot Watch Company Royal Navy Diver in 1980 superseded the Mill Sub because it was too expensive for the Ministry of Defence to provide Rolexes, I gather. That's well, it's it's an expensive thing buying Rolexes for clearance divers, isn't it? I mean, the first one.
But how much? They weren't that much though. really. Were they like back then?
Well, more expensive than these. So,
yeah.
But yeah, you're right,
Then
JC.
they
Because
weren't.
back then,
Yeah, exactly. They weren't expensive. They were
Yeah.
basically affordable. Yeah.
They're like a couple of $100.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, which is, I think the point Thomas is making is that relatively they were probably more expensive than this
Yeah.
thing, but
Yeah.
they weren't that expensive. Like, you know, Daytonas, even when they came out, were like, you know, a couple of $100, you know,
Yeah.
for a chronograph watch.
Exactly. I think it's the how can you calculate it is back then it was maybe 1 month wage for a normal person, let's say a normal worker, and now it's for some people several months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
somehow in this relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess what you would be paying for the price of a Hamilton at this time was back then you could buy a Rolex or a day. Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
or less, Yeah,
the first ones of these were automatic and they're actually rarer than the Rolexes. And they're replaced because the watches later became quartz, like the one I'm showing. And CWC have actually re-released the automatic version for it's £2,500 on their website. And the one I'm showing is a 1996 issue quartz Royal Navy diver. I think it says on the back there 96 just at the bottom. So this is when they started going quartz in the 80s.
See those markings, Thomas, the indices, that shape. So that's Seamaster shape. That's basically like Seamaster dial.
Yeah.
Is that was the MOD spec? Was that an MOD spec thing, or do you reckon they just copied it from the Seamaster because the Rolex doesn't have that dial at all? It's a totally different dial.
No, it doesn't. It has the batons and dots and but
I think they just ripped the Seamaster dial off there.
yeah, the quartz Arabics are interesting. They may just have ripped them off. Yeah, you're right. But it's not copyrighted by anyone, is it? I mean,
Yeah, no, it's just interesting though because when we think of like mil spec or military spec, it's sort of like they have some sort of design specs that they required, but I just thought it might have been something to do with that, but it doesn't really make sense because the Rolex had a different dial, totally different dial layout. So yeah, do you know what I'm saying? They just sort of
sure.
that's all.
Yeah. So that's the CWC Royal Navy diver. Move on to some more modern watches now. So these are some of the ones that Pete McGonville was saying, maybe trophy watches. I mean, this one is a Ralph Tech WRX Black Operator. I mean, this watch it says on the site it was designed in 2008, developed with the help from the combat divers from the French Navy's Commando Hubert unit, and the watch was used from 2011. So, this one could be used. I mean, or was used. I mean, I spoke at a watch show to a man from Ralph Tech, and he said that it was used by the divers. Used an electric micro hybrid movement, which is a sort of quartz automatic-ish movement, I think. Can have up to 100,000 hours power reserve, it says. So this is on the site. It's a 47.5 mil with a sandwich dial and is PVD coated, 1,000 meters water resistant, and comes on a black silicon strap. So that's a French brand doing French divers, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, we don't see much of Ralph Tech down here in Australia. They don't really have much of a presence. You don't really see anyone rocking
No,
these watches.
no, you don't hear really. You don't see them in the shops or anything here. I think they're mainly online. But as I say, I just saw them at a watch show that I went to.
To be honest, Thomas, the case does look a bit like the marathon that you looked earlier. Yeah,
It's a lot bigger though. It's 47,
especially and I think this brand is actually quite remote. I may have seen it once, but I guess I'm not familiar with this brand, so yeah.
Well, this is another one that comes on might call a trophy watch. This is going for £2,895. So it's available in the shops. It's the Zinn UX, the official service watch of the German GSG-9 Special Forces, and features the GSG-9 logo on the dial just there. It's modelled on the EZM2 from the 1990s and is engineered to be worn on maritime missions. Each of the watches is made of high-strength, seawater-resistant, bead-blasted German submarine steel with its integumented technology, making it scratch-resistant. And all of these UK models are powered by an ETA caliber 999.652 high-precision quartz movement, powered by a lithium-ion battery with an exceptionally long life, as they can supply electricity at temperatures down to minus 25 centigrade. And each watch is functionally reliable from minus 25 centigrade to plus 60 centigrade, and are temperature compensated to ensure they're not affected by sudden temperature change. And each movement is also anti-magnetic. And get this, Y2K, they're pressure resistant to 5,000 meters diving depth.
Why is it all greened out and then red out? Like 5,000. Okay.
5,000 meters, these ones, and the case is pressure resistant to 12,000 meters diving depth.
You know about Zinn, Thomas, and I think Abdul also has a very strong affinity to Zinn, since it's coming from the neck of the woods there. And JCB, I have actually looked at Zinn before, but the funniest part about Zinn was that the strap is really comfortable, very soft, very nice. But when it came to the case, I guess it's maybe the way they designed it. It felt like you have big legs but small body. So I felt like the watch could be a little bit on the bigger side. But then I realized that it could be put on the outside of a wetsuit as well.
Yeah, the case is a 44 mm in diameter and 13.3 thick, with a 22 mm wide rubber strap, and each watch weighs 105 grams without a strap, and the crown is placed at 10 o'clock so it doesn't put pressure on the back of the hand. And the almond and second hand and baton indices are coated in luminescent colour for easy readability in all lights. I really like this one.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Actually, that's pretty dope, man. Yeah, I was sort of the opposite from you, Y2K. When I used to look at the Zinn catalog, I always got scared of the sizes, like 44. Basically, that they don't really have much besides maybe I think it's the U50. I think which might be a 40 or 41 or something like that. Like most of these, like military divers are on the bigger side. They're 44 and they're a bit thicker as well. But this one's an interesting one, Thomas, because it's quartz. I think then so the thickness has come down a bit on this one. It's 13 point whatever you said, 13.3. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Might be worth checking out even this watch, I reckon.
Yeah, funky, isn't
Pretty
it?
cool. Mm.
I think
Yeah,
the
yeah,
UX is
big
still
fan.
in. Sorry, I think the UX is still in production at this point. Yeah, and
Yeah, it's
I
in
think so.
production
okay.
in shops at the moment. Yeah,
Yeah, but I think a
Yeah.
lot of the boutiques when they carry like when they are showing Zin watches, they push more of the U1s and the U50s
oh
in
yeah,
front
yeah,
of the UXs. So the UXs
yeah,
tend to take the backstage instead of the UX and U1 being at the front.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more function. The UX are more function. Like Zen has a lot of functional watches, and
Yeah.
especially the like the military ones. They have the Easy M12, my favorite like service watch from Zen. It's I think for the helicopter rescue German team, and they have like a concentric chronograph, which is really cool. And I tend to agree with you, GCB, on that point. All these functional watches have like 40. I think the smallest one I saw was 42 or something like this. But every
Yeah.
other watch is bigger because of they want to be more legible. It has to sometimes a wetsuit or on a jacket or something like this. Uh,
Yeah.
but but yeah, I'm a big fan of Zin, like you guys said before, and
Yeah.
because they make really good
And,
quality watches, you know.
and I think with the black versions, that would probably shrink down the size a little bit, like visually.
Exactly.
So if you get a 44, it might sort of feel or look more like a 42 or 43 or something. So it
yeah.
Exactly.
might be all right on the wrist. This one, yeah,
Yeah, and I think
pretty
it
cool.
even has a nice lug to lug distance because the lugs are really small and curved downwards, so it
Yeah,
can even contour on your wrist.
Yeah, it's a nice one. I like it.
yeah. I think I still I've never experienced a Zen watch yet, but when the right time comes and the right model that I find, I reckon I'll pull the trigger on one
Does
Yeah,
sooner
some
rather
lovely
than
bits
later.
out there.
you will
There's
love
some
it.
great.
I had until now three Zins, and I had to
Yeah,
just sell them not because I didn't like them. I just sold them to upgrade new watches, and I'm
yeah.
really thinking about getting a new Zin or in the next couple of months, just in the waiting time. If I find a deal online for a vintage one, I really like the 903. It
Yeah, I
has
was
like
just gonna say the 903. I love that watch
that's
too.
that's
It's
so
awesome.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so nice.
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know you're a chronograph guy, JCB, and you're dying to see another chronograph. So I'll bring one up for you.
Oh, there was that Zen chronograph that got launched during the week as well. We should pull that up at some point. I'll just get it lined up.
So this one, $20,000. This one's going for.
Oh man, that's the Corelli.
It's a
Um,
Corelli CP-2. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
This is one of the most emblematic military chronographs made by Zenith, and
yeah,
is named after the Roman retailer A. Corelli, who used
yeah,
to supply these Zenith military watches to the Italian Air Force, which is the Aeronautica Militare Italiana, back in the 1960s. Additionally, they included a signature on the dials, which is just at the bottom underneath
I
there.
think he was. I think he played a little bit of a part in the design as well, Thomas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Um,
the emblem displays the writing Tentra Sing. Oops, I've just skipped. Uh, the Corelli you see here has the AMI and the CP engraved on the case back, as you should expect from a military chrono de pulso. And it's these were created in the mid 1960s. I believe this model is from the 70s. And these watches have a rich military history as reflected in the price. So 42.5 mil by 12.5 thick, and this is a hand wound chronograph caliber 146 DP. This particular piece is coded and assigned to in use by an Italian pilot serving on a F-104S fighter in the early 70s, and the same pilot had already flown in the US on G91 and F5 Talons. The pilot was in service on the F-104S fighter in the force of the 51st Stormo on the Italian Air Force 22nd Istrana Group. And there's also currently a bronze CP-2 in production by Zenith that looks very much like this model. But yeah, I've seen the bronze CP-2 TPO.
Yeah.
But I've not seen this one before. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, really?
No, I've not seen this one before. I don't know whether I'd be spending $20,000 on it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, these original vintage CP2s are just going for insane money. Yeah. I don't know why. They're just a little niche in the collector market. Yeah, it's interesting with Zenith. Like, there's a couple of little buckets in the market that the collectors are onto, and this is probably one of the main ones. I think the CP2 line. Yeah, just I mean, I think it's just the design. I mean, look at it; it's just awesome. It's just so clean.
Oh, thank you for staying with us, Watch Apprentice. Sorry, battery's low. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, buddy.
No worries, buddy. See you next time.
Yeah.
I think these pieces are like just the collector's value of them, like I wouldn't pay that much for them, but then again, I'm not a Zen collector, and I'm not a military watches collector or something like this.
Yeah, so that's CP2. We'll move on to one that you might like now, Y2K. Well, you might not like it, but you might be a bit interested in it. I found this on Instagram. This is Hamilton SAF Singapore Armed Forces H744510 Field Diver Watch, and issued during the 1990s to Tentara Singapura, the SAF. Service members there, with two main Hamilton variants issued during this period. The double crown model with the steel bezel is seen here, along with a single crown field watch version, which is Hamilton H684910, which is in the third picture, which I'll come to next. And what I can gather from the single crown field watch was issued to privates, and the diver was issued to corporal, which is privates at PTE and corporal CPL, as per the SAF's rank tables. So I think the markings on the back. This diver is water resistant to 100 meters and has two crown system, with the top one allowing for the setting of the time and the date, while the bottom one is used to rotate the inner graduated bezel, like the Enicar we saw earlier. So this is a super compressor style one again. And the watches feature the crest of the Singapore Armed Forces and Army, which happen to be the same. And the emblem displays writing Tentara Singapura, meaning Singapore Army in Malay, as well as the motto Yang Pertama dan Utama. I think that's right, Y2K, which translates as first and foremost in Malay. And at the center are a lion and a tiger holding the canton of Singaporean flag enclosed by an escutcheon, sorry, I pronounce that right, flanked by two stalks of laurel. There are other versions of the Air Force and Navy emblems, respectively, and all other features are the same. Sadly, starting in the 2010s, the SAF decided to discontinue issuing either models to troops for more economical reasons. And I'll just see if I can get these other pictures up. So there's the back of that one. And there's a field one that was issued to the privates, and that was issued to the officers on the right. Quite interesting.
This is what exactly I was telling you earlier, Thomas, is that you know the watch I showed earlier, the Aviator?
Yeah.
So now across the board, everybody's getting that. So back then, we knew that as servicemen that we would get Hamiltons. But during the transitional phase, at some point in time, I think in the late 90s, they decided to stop this practice of because the watches are issued to graduating soldiers, which means they finish the full reservist cycle of 10 years as well as the 2.5 years. So in total 12.5 years of service. Then they get a certification and a medal as well as a watch. So if you really see it now, last time, these ones don't come up on a gray market here, but the Aviator ones come up a lot because people were feeling like it's more of a downgrade to the Aviator than keeping with the Hamilton tradition. Yeah. And it's interesting because you see that the officers get a nicer, bigger piece than the than the normal troops. Yeah.
Which is your preference? Which do you like best?
I would definitely go for the Hamilton any day. You know, I mean, because the Aviator one, number one, it's quartz, so it doesn't have the same kind of feel as the Hamilton automatics. You know. Yeah. And it's really a downgrade. It's like giving you a Hamilton watch for graduation would have been better than to give an Aviator timepiece, which just, yeah, it just doesn't carry the same feel of it. Yeah. Are you having dinner, JCB?
So I should have muted myself. I thought I was on mute.
Oh, no. I can hear you crunching your cereal.
I'm crunching my late night dinner. Sorry about that. I thought I was on mute.
Okay. Yeah, so there are a couple of Hamiltons from Singapore which I thought might interest you. And this is another one that I've seriously considered getting, which I really like. And this is the, just bring it up, the Heuer Bundschuh. These originally made by Leonidas and then made by Heuer, and Sinn then made the 158. And in the mid-60s, Heuer developed for a military purpose, and in particular for the German Bundeswehr, this flyback chronograph that met the high demands and technical requirements of the military pilots. The watch with a manual winding Valjoux 230 was provided to starfighter pilots. It was equipped with a tritium loomed dial indicating the 38 sign. It's 43 mil by 12 mil thick and was supplied on a leather bund strap. And these go for 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. Absolutely look.
This looks like it's very, very similar to that CP-2 that we looked at a second ago, Thomas. If you look at the dial layout, it's a flyback, the hands, it looks very similar to that.
Yeah, but this one just has something that I really, really like. That Heuer logo with the 3H logo with the black bezel just looks so good. And even if you notice the small indices on the two subdials. You know, for the I think one is 30, and then one is 60, right? One is 30 hours then.
30
No,
minutes.
that'll be a
30
30-minute counter.
Yeah, and the one is
And
the
then
running seconds.
that's
Sorry.
seconds, yeah, running
Yeah,
seconds,
running seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's great. And
yeah, it's
the
nice.
158 as well is an identical copy. That, which is another favourite of the thing that I think you're going to pull up, JTB, recently released.
Sorry,
The
Thomas, your audio is just a bit low there, mate.
Zin that I think you're gonna pull up. It's very similar to the 158. It's a favourite of mine as well as the new one that came out. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep. And actually, I think for the Tag Heuer fans, I think they quite actually like the fact that this is still carrying the Heuer logo at the 12 o'clock mark. Yeah, like I spoke to some Tag Heuer fans. Somehow they still like to carry the previous name of Tag the Heuer, just the Heuer, even for the Monaco. It's a very interesting psychological kind of thinking that they still prefer the old one than the new one, like the Tag Heuer than the Heuer. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll move on to some. These are funny ones. These I don't know whether these were given as end of service watches, or they definitely can't have been regular issue watches. But these are Rolex's. This is a Datejust, I believe, of 15,000. Made for the United Arab Emirates Armed Forces, circa 1985. And this is a 34mm stainless steel, and came with a presentation box, so it must have been an end of service gift or something like that. And it has a champagne dial with the Arab Emirates Armed Forces crest on the dial. I'll just bring that up. So this must have been a end of service gift to a.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Definitely, because with these hands, you can't see in any condition.
It looks like a mural, one piece. The color of the watch face and the indices kind of blend in.
Yeah, I think maybe the dial was a little bit whiter and just patinate, right? Because
Oh yeah, you're right, Abdul. Maybe it's patina that's caused it to turn yellow. Yeah.
So this one sold for $13,750 in October 2020, and just move on to one which that must have gone to a private or a lower ranked officer. And this must have been the one that you got if you're a higher ranked officer.
Oh yes.
Always a clear distinction of who's the higher officer and who's a mere foot soldier.
This is a rare and extremely well-preserved day date that was supplied to United Arab Emirates forces. 36mm in 18-karat gold that had a champagne dial and Arab Emirates Armed Forces crest on it, consisting of a gold falcon, which is the UAE flag, and 7 stars representing the Federation of Emirates. 7 Emirates. There are at least 3 different logos of the Emirates crest known. The emblem with the silver eagle and silver stars was made for the UAE police. The present example with the golden eagle and golden stars for the armed forces. And the first version for the army has 4 smaller stars and a large one towards the center of the dial. Furthermore, the colours of the eagle and the signature has been changed slightly over the years. But yeah, this is definitely for a high-ranking officer.
Yeah.
I love how the MOD was like moving away from Rolex because it costs too much, and then you've got the UAE going fucking full crazy with the day dates, going opposite end of the spectrum. That's pretty funny, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like give the poor officer just a normal date Rolex. It's just a date Rolex, and for the generals, of course, date.
Yeah, it's crazy. They don't mess around over there, do they?
No. It's crazy money there.
So that was it really. There was one Seiko which I found quite interesting, which I'll just briefly pull up.
Yeah,
The
cool.
World War II. This is a Seiko Shah, former Japanese army officer's watch from World War II. Going for $1,800. This one. The Seiko Show was a branch of the Seiko company that produced clocks, watches, shutters, computer printers under the Epson brand, and other devices. It was the root of the manufacturing companies of Seiko Group, founded in 1892 and defunct in 1996, and divided into two new companies, Seiko Precision Incorporated and Seiko Clock Incorporated. And the font of this Seiko logo is old and maybe from before World War II. And there's a compass and an army star on the wristband of the watch, and also a sticker from that time written as Tokyo Prefecture. And it's currently not working, needs an overhaul, but I just thought it looked pretty nice. So you can see there's a compass there and that star. But it's quite a nice, cute little watch, I just thought.
It's dainty.
Yeah. I sent you one in the private chat. I forgot to tell you guys I've been to Hanhart factory in the Black Forest, just around 30 minutes from my house, and visited their warehouse, their showroom, their factory, talked to their watchmakers. Even the two CEOs accompanied us and showed us around. They were really nice guys, even though it was just like a visit. I didn't even buy a watch or anything, didn't even made just small videos, but they're really cool guys. And they make actually World War II pilots watches, like chronographs. And after being there and the experience, even though we're like, I told them I don't have that much following on YouTube or anything, but they just had the best experience. And they were telling me about TGV was there the week before, and they're going through a couple of new models in a couple of weeks, and then I can come and let's say try them out also and review them and take them on for a couple of weeks. And I'm really thinking about either buying a Hanhart or a Sinn in the time I'm waiting for the new lorry, because it would be a really, really nice touch. And the Hanhart, especially with the mono pusher, they're really cool. So if you like chronographs, check them out if you don't know them.
I love the Hanhart 417. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, there's a flyback that they do that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly. And
Yeah, I
pretty
love that
affordable
watch.
as well for a flyback.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
2,000
100%.
euros.
JCB, could you bring up that link, please?
Sure. This is the I'll get that one.
I'll just bring up the link that you're showing at the moment.
Oh yeah,
So-
have you got that one?
Yeah, this is the new
Nice.
Zinn watch. They've re-released 3 Zinn 356 pilot watches to commemorate the 25 years of the watch.
Nice.
And it's a beauty. It's gorgeous. Really like it.
Yeah. Nice
Yeah,
watch,
that
one.
case is so comfortable on the wrist. So comfortable.
Yeah, my only issue, and we'll get down to it in a minute. Okay, it's probably just me, but the thickness,
Yeah,
it's quite on the chunky side.
yeah,
I think it's like 15.5 or something like that.
yeah. My 356 was 13.5, but it
Yeah,
was chunky for. But the case construction was really clever because they made the lugs point somehow downward, and the holes are at the end. So
yeah,
somehow the thickness just dissipates in your wrist, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
they have the upper part connecting the lug is to the upper part of the case, so that your thickness just sinks in your skin somehow.
yeah.
Now
See,
the case. Sorry, JCP.
no,
Yeah.
go on, YGK, go for it.
Oh. I was just gonna say,
W-
is it the case because of the movement that's causing it to be a
w-
bit bigger?
I don't know. Look at that.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
here they say here, the negative is the thickness. This one's at 15 mil
yeah,
for the limited edition and 15.6 for the
yeah.
others,
You're right. 15.6,
right?
not
Like
13.6. Yeah,
that's crazy, man. And
yeah.
and and when you combine it with a 38.5 mil, so you've got a relatively small diameter with a
Hmm.
thick watch. It's just gonna wear like a hockey puck. I feel. You can see it
Uh,
there. Like you're
right.
getting that. You know what I mean? Like look at you're getting the thick
Yeah.
glass, and then you got the thick. Then the piece at the back. The movement's actually not that thick. It's 7 mil thick movement with this Solita. So I'm not too sure what's going on. Like why they have to make it so thick. Um, I just feel like that's my biggest gripe with Sinn chronographs generally, is that they're generally pretty thick watches. That's probably why I've never bought one yet. Um, because when I look at the spec sheet, it's always thick. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because I actually looked up the movement. Because I was thinking, what maybe the movement's really thick. It's a little bit on the thick side. But it's 7 mil, so it's not that bad.
No,
I don't
I
know.
think it's because
I
of
don't know where the extra stuff is coming
the
from.
water resistant and the whole
Yeah,
variance of minus 80 degrees to plus 80 degrees and all the stuff. The
yeah,
let's
the
say
tech.
the tech
Y-
inside the case. I think
Yeah,
that's the issue.
yeah, yeah. I think
Because
you're right, Abdul. I
yeah,
think
I
that's
wore
right.
mine the 356 and swimming in the sea. Even though it's a chronograph, but I swam with it. I went out with it, did everything with it, and it wasn't even serviced for like maybe 10 years before. I just checked the water
Wow.
resistance. Everything was working well, so I took it out. Worked well. Everything was good.
Imagine if this watch was 13 mil or 13.5 even.
That would be
Um,
perfect. That would
it
be
would
perfect.
be it would be spot on. I just think that the thickness is going to put a lot of people off
Yeah,
this
yeah.
watch, unfortunately.
Shibad just saying he likes a chunky monkey watch, not the thickness of a family-sized tin of tuna, though.
Yeah. Otherwise, a really nice looking watch. Good release from Zinn. I really like this colorway here. This sort of
Hmm.
desert sort of
Patina.
look going on. Yeah, that's so good.
It's got
So good.
Flieger written underneath, hasn't it, as well?
Yeah,
Uh,
this is the
by-
Flieger Classic, Thomas.
yeah. Could you bring up the Hanhart by any chance?
Yeah, sure. Uh, is this the?
uh,
Yeah, give me one sec.
yeah, sure.
I think the Hanhart was a little bit thinner. At least
This
the
is the
39.
this is the link. Can you see that? Is that coming up?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I thought this one is matching our, let's say, theme for today. Like one German pilot back then tried to sneak in four watches.
Oh, really? He
Yeah,
got four. He put four up there, did he? Oh my
four
god.
watches.
Oh my god. Oh, okay,
Oh,
sorry. It's just that's the
yeah.
that's the watches. So what have we got there? A couple of Hanharts, is it? And what are
Yeah,
these two?
Hanhart's Luftwaffe, so the Air Force watches. and
Right.
he was trying to sneak, let's say, the watches inside. And what I like
Oh.
about the Hanhart, even the new one, the flyback, it's only 13.3 millimeters thick. So
Mm,
it's
mm,
exactly that. That's 39 millimeters in diameter, 13
yeah.
millimeter thickness. You get a really nice wear feel, and I tried it out when I was there in the factory. It just
Yep.
feels like a glove. Even the CEO has a
Okay.
special one that he made for himself and all the board members with blue on blue. And he made
Ooh.
it in 38 millimeters, and he made it 12 millimeter thick. So it's
Oh,
just like for them, it's just wears like a dream. I was like, wow. I totally understand why I would want to make a watch like that.
that's got to be manual wind, right?
Manual wind,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'll have to look. I'll have to have a look into that, Abdul.
Yeah.
Did he try to get the straps in as well?
Yeah, that would be interesting, right? Because that would hurt. But he stick out.
Because at least the one this one here didn't have the strap. Remember in the movie
Exactly, exactly.
in Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah.
So I'm just looking at these ones with the straps. If he tried to get them all in with the straps, that would have been an
No,
Yeah.
interesting.
surely not. Surely
It would,
not.
it would have been.
That's painful.
Oh
Painful.
boy.
He must have been walking funny for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Uh,
Nice handhelds. I'm a big fan of the brand. As I say,
Yeah,
I
the
look
new
like
one is just
470.
very nice. The new one
I mean,
is.
Steve McQueen wore 470, yes, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They were when I went to the showroom, they had a lot of pictures of the people that wore, and they were
Yeah.
saying like we never paid 1 cent in any celebrity that wore our watches. They just wore it because they liked it. So when we knew that some celebrities wearing our watches somewhere, we were like surprised. Oh, okay. And then we go back
mm,
online and try to track down when was that order made, and then try to like send them a gift or send them some kind of strap or something. Hey, like thank you for wearing our watch, you know. But they don't even like write it down or whatever.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you guys if you were in the military today, what watch would you pick from the sort of current lineup of watches that are
Ooh,
out there? What would your pick
Mm.
be?
I'd probably pick something like Y2K Sport, the Ultra Deep or something
Ultra
like that.
Deep. Yep.
Mm.
Yep. I'd have to go for a Breitling Aerospace Evo Night Mission. So that's
Yeah,
Mm.
nice.
the black version of
Mm.
the Aerospace. Oh man, that's
Yeah.
such a cool watch. Love that watch. That would be my pick.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's not military per se, but it's a rescue watch. I'll take the Easy M12.
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say one of those Zins as well that we were looking at
Yeah,
as well. Abdul,
yeah,
I'd probably have
exactly.
to have a look at the Zin catalog. Yeah, they make some really nice black watches. Zin
they make
as
some
well.
gorgeous
Yeah,
watches.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Easy M12 is just such a cool watch. It has a really, it's big. You would like it, Y2K, a really big watch. But it was functionally reliable for like -40 to +80, magnetic field protection, dehumidifying technology, all like everything you might think of, it has it. And it has like a concentric chronograph with pulse rotor and a crown and an inner bezel. So you have sorry an outer bezel and an inner bezel. So
Mm.
basically,
I've
you
got
can
I've
time
just got it up,
everything.
Thomas. If you want to pull it up.
Yeah, that's the one.
Wow, that looks awesome.
It's impressive, really.
Yeah, it's used for helicopter rescue missions in the German military. So basically, you need to time a lot of stuff like going down from the helicopter, breathing for the person, all the stuff that you might need to time. You have to have it on your wrist. And like you said before, you can wrap it around your jacket or wetsuit or whatever, because sometimes you have to pick up somebody from the water or whatever.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
It's got a long strap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they even have the video of it with a guy in a helicopter wearing it on his like protective suit.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
The
never
Zin
saw it in the wild, but it's just a watch that if I had to have a military watch, this would be the one.
Yeah. Definitely some great stuff coming out from Sinn.
Yeah. To be honest, Abdul, that Zin which you showed me is rather brilliant. What's the dimensions on it?
On the EZM, let me check.
Yes. Is it 44? 43? Yeah.
I think it's 44, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite good.
Yeah, these are the ones we had a look at before, weren't they? The UX. Yeah, these are dope. These are nice, man. Really great design. Great design.
You know, the thing, JCB, is that sometimes the ones on the website, they make the watch look very big, actually. But when you look at it in real life, it's like quite small, actually. But Zin rubber straps, the way they made it, I gotta say, is really comfortable. When you try and run your finger up and down, it's smooth. There's not an inch of imperfection. It's just smooth, kind of like rubber strap. Sorry, yeah.
And durable as well. Just lives and lives. It's really, really good quality.
I like this watch. I like the fact that it's got it's actually got a high precision, thermocompensated quartz movement as well. I think that's because it brings the thickness down, and then it becomes a grab and go watch as well. You can just keep this in your watch box, and then you just grab it when you want to wear it. You don't have to mess around, messing with the setting the time and all that, which can be a bit of a pain in the butt.
Exactly.
And that on the black.
That
looks so good. That's so good.
So good. Yeah. Really nice. Like, it really gives you this special mission feeling, right? You're like, this is the black on black with seconds. Even they put a bit of lume on the tip of the seconds, the red hand.
Yeah.
Right.
There you can in this part here.
Exactly. So basically, you'd be even seeing with seconds precision when you should, let's say, orchestra a move or do an action or whatever.
I like the crown at 10 o'clock though. The one.
Yeah, the 10 o'clock one. Yeah, that was the special forces one. I think this one. So it's a UXS GSG 9. Okay. Tasty.
Yeah.
Tasty stuff. All right.
Right. Great show, guys.
Great show, guys.
Thank you.
I just had to drop the link to the Casual Watch Reviews show that I saw again. It's becoming my favorite channel at the moment. My favorite weekly live stream. So I just had to give a big shout out to Sam and the panel that he gets, panels that he gets. And guys, please try and subscribe to him because you love his content and his live streams. They're really good. Thank you, Chili Burger. That's great news.
Yeah, thanks, Chili.
Chili Badger, thank you so much.
And give the thumbs up, guys. That'd be great. Give them a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Join us again on future shows.
And just to give you guys some watch announcements, for those, since we are a watch channel, Tudor has apparently just upped the pricing for their pieces over here in Singapore. So it's gone up a wee bit. So if those of you who are buying Tudors, just to take note, as well as those Omega fans like me, if you are buying your Omegas, hopefully where you are, it hasn't gone up, but it will go up by the latest by the end of this month. So go and get your favorite watches before the prices go up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody greedy, aren't they? These watch companies.
Yeah.
Second increase this year for Omega.
Okay, thanks again, chat. Sorry, did you want to say something, JTB?
No. All good. No, just backing my head at the greed
Thanks
of
again.
these Swiss watch companies.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
To White
Thanks,
and
everybody.
Kate, to Abdul R
Later.
Watches.
Yep.
Great chat, guys.
Thank you
See you
so
later,
much,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.
Take care and see you next time.